Hi everyone, and welcome to the second video I'm releasing today, or I should say episode I'm releasing today. I know I said it might be a video on the last one, but that's actually just not feasible. My computer is updating. Gotta love Windows Update. To be fair, I did tell it to update, I just thought it'd be quicker. Okay, so let's get into it. So we've got Google pulling a popular Android app without collecting data. Halo fans voicing their concern over armor coatings in Halo Infinite. US judge standing firm in the decision to block the US ban on WeChat, rightfully so. And Facebook and Twitter CEOs will testify in the Senate hearing after the election. So, let's start with Google pulling this app. So, basically, Google removed this game that was on the Google Play Store, or a few games that are on the Play Store, and they had a combined 20 million Play Store downloads. This was done after the IDAC, International Digital Accountability Council, found they were violating Google data collection policies. But it wasn't the app-specific code that led to the takedowns, it was the framework that powered them. The apps used versions of Unity, Apodil, and Umeng, whose developer kit versions reportedly collected Android ID and Android advertising ID info. If an app sends the AAID alongside other persistent data, including the Android ID, it's possible to violate Google's privacy protections and track users, a major issue for apps aimed at preteen audiences. But IDAC President Quentin Palfrey didn't say if the council could gauge how much data, if any, was taken as a result, and there weren't any known violations in the iOS versions of the apps. Google has taken action when the app violated policy, and the apps have been removed. These apps broke rule barring the use of developer kits that aren't approved for child-directed services, according to Google, and added it was still working on licenses and procedures to catch issues like this one. It doesn't appear to be an intentional breach. Two of the developers still had apps available on the Play Store, but it really does show the risks involved in writing kids' apps, no matter the intentions of the producers. Personally, yep, they're completely right on this one. I actually had Rollerball, my original game, taken down due to the fact they used Unity advertising in it. I actually removed Unity advertising to put it back on the store temporarily. And a couple months later, I just kind of took it off to work on a massive rewrite I started on. And I kind of been stop-start ever since on that, really, just with school becoming more and more important as time's gone on. So I probably won't get a full version of it out for a long time unless we go into another lockdown. But it's definitely showing... apps are definitely things that you have to be careful with, and data that they collect is definitely important to monitor. Let's go on to Halo Infinite and their armor coatings. So Halo Infinite and 343 specifically have announced that they will be replacing the old armor coating system, and Halo fans are not happy. Basically, a 7-layer shader that allows us to put any artist-authored colour, material or pattern into 7 channels and apply it to in-game items like weapons, armour and vehicles. So, this means that the coloration materials and patterns will now be baked into the coating instead of the primary and secondary armor color customizations you could find in prior games. Fans are not very happy about this, and I completely understand why not, to be honest. The primary secondary feature was definitely nice. And some are asking 343 to reconsider the decision and bring back primary secondary color customization. And 343 did point out it was aware some fans may be disappointed, but explained it would actually benefit the game going forward, because it apparently allows them to have more customization options. That is probably true. It's definitely a thing that can be true with this. Like, one thing about these sorts of things is just the way that colours work. If you can only have a certain two colours, you do take away kind of customization a bit. 343 community manager John Jacek also addressed some MTX concerns on Twitter, confirming that while some customization items, including coatings, will be offered as microtransactions, there will be all kinds that can be earned in-game and as special rewards, and new coatings will allow for best player expression. Some players have actually threatened to boycott the game. I'm not even kidding. Some people are threatening to boycott a game because of armor coatings. I'm going to say something. It's controversial, but grow up. I'm sorry, if the content of a game is good, the campaign is good, and the multiplayer is all perfect, I personally think that boycotting it because of an armor customization change that allows for better graphics, which this will probably allow, is a bit childish. You're complaining about the graphics not being good enough, but then at the same time when they implement something to help with better graphics, you're then saying you're going to boycott it. The fact is, you kind of have to make up your mind on what side you want to be on. I personally believe in that just kind of go with what they want. For all we know, this could allow some really nice game dynamics to be introduced. But we'll see how this actually pans out when the game is released in 2021. But for now, let's move on to what's going on with WeChat. So the US judge has stood firm behind the decision to block the US ban on WeChat and is unimpressed with the government's additional evidence. Now, the US government requested that WeChat be removed from US app stores last month, but the US court did blocked the order and is still unmoved by the new evidence the government presented. Last month, US Magistrate Judge Laurel Beeler, sorry if I got that wrong, issued a preliminary injunction blocking the order that would have been enforced on September 20th, explaining that the government put in scant little evidence that WeChat's ban would address national security concerns. In addition to removing the app from stores, it would also prohibit transactions with WeChat in the US. Apple, Disney and other companies voiced their concerns about that ban, and it would have affected their businesses. It could, for example, prevent Disney from accepting WeChat payments for passes, concessions and other purchases in Hong Kong Disneyland and Shanghai Disneyland, for instance. Apple believes it would have caused its iPhone shipment to dip by as much as 30% due to WeChat's widespread usage in China, both fair reason to be concerned. Beeler wrote in her decision that, quote, the report does not support the conclusion that the government has narrowly tailored the prohibited transactions to protect its national security interests. The evidence supports the conclusion that the restrictions burden substantially more speech than is necessary to further the government's legitimate interests, end quote. However, the Justice Department hasn't given up and is now taking its fight to the Ninth Circuit US Court of Appeals, asking them to reverse the decision. Personally, I just kind of think this is a bit ridiculous. At the end of the day, you're asking them to just kind of ban an app that people use daily. It's that simple. You're asking them to ban an app people use daily. I wouldn't think that's a good idea, and not many people are going to be happy with you for that. Let's go on to the Senate hearing with Facebook and Twitter CEOs. So, whilst Mark Zuckerberg, CEO of Facebook, and Jack Dorsey, CEO of Twitter, will be facing the Senate in America after the election. Reasons why this is going to occur after the election are unknown, but the fact is they're answering questions about how they handled a controversial New York Post story. In mid-October, the social media platforms took action to limit the spread of a New York Post story that claimed to have obtained unflattering emails from the laptop of Joe Biden's son. The publication provided little evidence for the claims made in the article. At least one expert pointed out all the red flags that put the email's authenticity into question. Facebook said it was reducing the story's distribution until it had been reviewed by the company's fact-checking partners. A spokesperson explained that it's, quote, part of the company's standard process to reduce the spread of misinformation, end quote. Twitter, however, completely blocked the story's URL from being shared via tweets and DMs. Citing existing policies around hacked materials. The sets of platforms took reignited accusations that they have an anti-conservative political bias. As a result of the backlash, Twitter had to update its hacked material policy and had to unblock the New York Post link. In addition to discussing the company's response to the Post story, the committee will also take the chance to review the handling of the 2020 election, as the hearing is scheduled to happen a couple of weeks after Election Day. But before this, they first have to attend a hearing about Section 230 protections on October 28th. So that's all 4 stories for today. If you go back one episode, you will actually see my opinions on Xbox game streaming stick that could be coming out early next year, according to Phil Spencer. Thanks for listening today, everyone. I'll see you in tomorrow's episode. As always, stay safe and just make sure you're washing your hands and using hand sanitizer regularly. And I'll see you in tomorrow's episode.